Good morning, welcome to another video with a guy and his projects. Well, everything's a project for me, we got lots going on. But today we are specifically working on the 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee WJ with the Quadratec, the 4.7 liter, the V8, the sticking calipers, the, wait, what? Yep, that's right, that's what we're doing. We are taking care of a sticking rear right passenger side caliper. So it's an intermittent sticky. It only seems to be sticking when it's super cold outside. When I say super cold, I mean like when I'm leaving work and it's less than probably 15 degrees. If it's lower than 15, that caliper seems to stick. And again, that's still not all the time, which is good. It means we're in the beginning stages. So either one, we can lube it up and get her all mobile again, or we can just replace it. Calipers on these are fairly cheap because they're a fairly crappy design, so I'm going to opt to just replace them. We replaced all the calipers on the blue WJ, and yeah, I think it's just going to be worth just replacing it. We always replace in pairs though here, so we're going to do both the right and the left rear calipers. I'm not planning on doing the pads at the moment. I'm planning on maybe doing the pads. We're going to take the tire off, jack it up, and see what needs to happen. But right now I'm just planning on a quick, simple flip out the caliper, re-lube everything, and carry on situation. But that may change. It very well might change. We'll see when we get in there. Quick note, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell so you know when I post. A lot of people don't get notifications when I post videos because, well, what do you know? Either you're not subscribed or you didn't hit the bell. So stay tuned. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, another video gets released. If you don't have a notification and you don't see it, you have to search for it. Just turn on your notifications, no more searching. All right, so moving on, we have, well, this is kind of a last minute decision to replace these. I was just gonna pull it apart and grease it, and then I'm like, I got way too many projects going on. I don't wanna do this again anytime soon, so I went to my local O'Reilly's. I bought a couple of rear calipers. That's not the boxes they brought. Those are the boxes from the last set of calipers I ordered online. They wanted to keep their boxes for some reason. They didn't like all the brake fluid or something I have on here. Either way, those are new in the used boxes, that's fine. I just took some with me when I went and got those so I could get the core cost immediately rather than having to go back and get it refunded on my card. You know, some of us are broke, so. All right, moving on. First step here, crack the lug nuts if you're using a lug nut wrench. Jack it up if you're using a jack. I got a lift, so I'm gonna use a lift. I've got a nice little telltale here for me, so I can go all the way up there. But before I do that, depending on where I park this thing, antenna can get in the way up there, so there we go, now we're good. The higher we go, the less bending we gotta do. Bear with the heater, guys. I know you've been hearing that for several months now, but it is cold outside. It is 5 degrees outside this morning, so we are heating this place up. I usually start the heater about 4 o'clock, and then I come out here about 6 o'clock. And right now we are up to 39 degrees, which is good, because like I said, it's 5 degrees outside. I can work in 39 warm. 5 kind of hurts your fingers. So we're gonna have that going, no big deal. We're gonna go ahead and get started on the opposite side. It's colder over here, but the heater noise is nowhere near as bad. So let me remove the tire. Should start with the other side so that I have, you know, tools. Okie dokie. So the worst part, in my opinion, of these calipers is one, they're just small. It's a rear side. They don't have to be gigantic. These are actually not that bad. I probably could get away with just putting some grease on them. But at first look, these calipers actually are not as rusted as I thought they'd be. There's not really any cross hatching left on the rotor. Oh yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna go ahead and replace it. They're cheap, already got it out. These are very springy. Watch your eyeballs. Get a positive grip on them with some pliers. and do your best to pull them out without getting angry. Usually I like to use 2 hands with 2 pairs of needle nose, and it's a lot easier, but holding the camera, you know, just gotta make do. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that out, set that aside somewhere where we'll have to move it in a minute. All that does is keep your caliper to the bracket, so it's not, again, horrible design. All they had to do is put a little piece of metal here that slid up into here or something. I don't know, guys. Moving on from that, we might get lucky and be able to pry this off with a pry bar. Not right now, we have to undo the caliper brackets. So actually, let's undo the caliper brackets. Except we decided we're not replacing the caliper bracket, and we're gonna try and get away with not replacing the rotor. So we don't actually need to take the bracket off. We just need to take the caliper off, which is a whole different situation. I don't remember what size that is. That's why you guys watch videos, so you can find out what size everything is. All right, so if we're just replacing the caliper, what is all this stuff? That's weird, man. Anyway, if we're just replacing the caliper, we're gonna go ahead and grab this little cap right here, try and get her off. I wonder if I should put a light down here for you. Probably, but I'm busy. Get off. There it goes. We're gonna take that little cap off. Probably need it again. Let's get a light. See, does this light work? Nope, haven't charged that one in a minute. Okay, so apparently the slide pins are 5/16 Allen. That just seems to fit anyway. We're gonna bust these loose. This is probably the only thing that's not greased on this, unless the caliper's actually toast. I'm gonna bust that one loose. Oh yeah, huh? I grabbed the headlamp so you guys can see what I see. All right, now I'm gonna go down here to this one. Knock this cap off. There it goes. Okay, stick her in. Bust her loose. Okay, I'm gonna make the assumption that you guys can see there. When it comes to these pins, I don't know if you guys can see right now, but that's where it threads into on the caliper bracket. So you only have to unscrew it. You'll sit here for days if you're just doing this. But once you see all those threads disappear from the bracket right here, you can kind of pull this pin out. This one's sliding pretty good, so it's not a big deal. Still in there. Okay. Still in there. But once you get out of those threads, there's nothing to push this back. And in my experience, they get kind of seized in place. We're gonna drop that 5/16 30 times today. So once you get the threads out, I just put this in there. I put some upward or downward force on it and pull it out. And that's just to get it out so you can pull the caliper off like that. Works out pretty good. Sometimes it's pretty stuck in there, but for the most part, it works. All right, so we're just gonna grab a little baby pry bar here, go against the rotor. We're gonna try and push these out. The inside pad, I think, sticks inside the caliper, so you're probably not going to get that one out with it, but the outside one will probably stick. There she goes. Okay, so the caliper is now free, for the most part. You can pull your brake pad out, see how, oh, that don't even look like it fits, but it does, okay. But we got plenty of life left on these pads, so I'm not gonna worry too much about the pads. I think we'll just go ahead and replace the caliper and call it a day. And this caliper, honestly, does not look bad at all. So I don't know why it's hanging up, why it's giving us problems. Might actually not even be the caliper's fault at all. It might just be there's so much crud built up in these slides that the pads can't slide in and out. That is a very possible situation. And now I'm actually debating if I just want to clean this, because I have to clean the bracket anyway. The new ones did not come with the bracket, of course, I don't think. That don't look the same. It did come with the bracket. So the description said no bracket, but this absolutely came with the bracket. Let me check the other one too. Awesome, so this is good news. So the new calipers did come with brackets, so we can get rid of this bracket, pull that brake pad off. And let's get rid of this bracket, and then we will continue on. We'll replace this last because of the whole brake line situation. So we're gonna go ahead and grab this bad boy here. It appears that's approximately an 18. It's got a little play, maybe a 17. Nope, she's an 18. So I'm gonna pop these two bad boys off then. This will probably be the hardest part of the whole job. Oh, these get put on pretty tight. And I'm tightening it more, so that doesn't help. 'Cause I'm a flinty guy. There we go. If in doubt, tighten them more. These definitely do not feel like they're exactly 18. This is probably some standard size. Let me see actually. Oh, I did grab a 19 millimeter. I thought I grabbed an 18. That's probably why. Somebody put their 19 in the wrong spot. 18 fits much better, folks. Use an 18, like I said in the first place. Usually about the time I think, oh hey, I should be able to do this with my hands, it's the time I find out that I still can't. But we'll take a win when we find one. There's those two. My bracket can come right off. So the rotor situation, honestly, it looks fine from the naked eye, so we're gonna leave it. I'm not gonna worry about it. We'll just replace the rotor, and we'll just replace the caliper. But before I do that, I need to get rid of this hoodie because I just need to. It's still just a little bit chilly in here for not having the hoodie, but it's not unbearable by any means. So, okay, new caliper bracket. When you're looking at these, trying to figure out which side is up, remember your bleeder is always up. So this mounts like that, my bleeder would be down, this is the other side. On this one, however, if you put it in here, your bleeder is going to be up. That's perfect, that's what we want. So we are going to go ahead and remove these guys on here so that we can mount the caliper bracket first. I'm going to do this in 2 stages because it's the way I feel we should. Oh gosh, I didn't want those to come loose in shipping. Hey, there we go again, down on the rotor. And we're gonna put some of our own grease on these sliding pins too, just so we know they're greased up the way I like them. Yeah. Now theoretically, you could just pull this off, but you're gonna have to undo these anyway to get the brake pads in there. It's hard, these are cold. These have been sitting in the garage. You know, they're like, the metal's like 5 degrees too. Oh no, I didn't want it to get dirty. Before we put our bracket on, I want to grab my anti-seize. I want to anti-seize pretty much everything. You can see my breath right now. Okay, so there's one anti-seize bolt ready to go. I'm gonna flip this over, stick this in place. Hopefully you guys can see through my light bulb. Fine, and you just gotta find the hole. Uh-oh. What am I doing wrong? Goes right there. Why you no go in? There she is, she found home. Okay, grab the other bolt, we're gonna go down here. And with your 18 millimeter, snug those up to the torque spec of your choosing. Whether you look that up in the factory service manual, or you Google it, or you find some other YouTuber who's nice enough to give it to you, go for it. I'm not gonna give it to you because I didn't look it up to see what it is. When I started this channel, I had full intentions of always giving you guys that information. I got so many projects to get done, I don't have time to look it all up. These are not other people's vehicles. These are my vehicles. So we're gonna go to right about that tight. About that tight, whatever that was. I don't really know what that was. So now we're gonna grab our new caliper. This is the banjoed bolt. That's what's gonna go on your brake line when we get there. This is your bleeder. I'm just gonna hope that's tightened up the right way it's supposed to be. And this is some brake lubricant. We're gonna take this brake lubricant. You guys have seen me do this 100 times now. I'm just going, ooh, it's all separated. We're just gonna grease the metal portion where the pad sits and gets in contact there. And we're just gonna make this area here just a little lube, just to keep things sliding. This isn't gonna stay here forever. It's gonna get dirty, it's gonna melt off, that's all fine. All I'm trying to do right now is let it easily sit in place. Now I wanna take just a little bit of brake grease and put it in here in the sliding pin hole. This, I don't know if you're supposed to, I don't know if it's a good idea to. Just what I do, guys. Take our brake pad here, which is pretty messed up. Let me grab a rag and clean this up a little bit. Scrub off the pad too, anywhere where your fingers may have gotten a little greasy. And we're gonna come over here. I'm just gonna slap her in place like so. All right, so the next thing before we put the other pad on is I grab my brake grease again, give it a little stir, because this is the only grease I got and it's all separated. I'm just gonna put some on the ears right here. Just to help, like I said, help them set into place where they're supposed to be. These brushes get messy, they're hard to be detailed, just do the best you can. And now my friends, I think we're ready to slide this guy in. He's gonna set in just like so. And this guy, oh, gonna go in just like so. Make sure she sits in her, make sure the pads sit in their places. And take our slide pin. Make sure there's no more dirt on there. And just like before, brackets, you're gonna find your hole. There she goes, she found her home. Before I get too carried away, do the same thing on the bottom. Stick her in her hole, thread her in until she finds her home. So these as well, I don't really know torque spec on. We're just gonna go until they're tight. These are not necessarily holding weight up per se. These are just allowing the caliper to slide in and out as your piston compresses and releases. Yes, it's a big deal. Yes, it's a little structural because it does hold the caliper up, but I'm not stressing about it. All right, then we're gonna take our caps. Before we forget, slap our caps in. Oh, wow, that doesn't really fit. So that's just gonna go as far as it can go, I guess. Okay, so now we are ready to do the brake line. For that, you want clean gloves and a tray underneath to catch brake fluid, because you are inadvertently going to lose some. It's not the end of the world if you lose all of it. I mean, not all of it. It's not the end of the world if you lose a bunch, because it's going to drain anyway. Just keep an eye on your master cylinder. Make sure she doesn't get empty. So we want a tray down here, and we need to figure out what size bolt this is. All right, so I got a 14 millimeter. I've got my banjo bolt here, and the supposed hardware packet, I got 2 crush washers. We're gonna want those. And then that spring, which I do last because I absolutely hate that thing. All right, so you can go ahead and put 1 crush washer on now, because that's where it's gonna go. The other one's gonna go on the other side of the line. So put that where you can find it. Now, we should probably replace these lines too. That might be the whole problem in the first place, but for now, that's not. So for now, this banjo bolt, oh, it's barely a 14, there we go. We're gonna crack that loose with the other ratchet. That one's too stubby. If you were smart, you would have cracked this loose earlier when you still had it bolted in, but you know, not all of us have the luxury of brains. So now we're at the mercy of life. Find somewhere to wedge it. There she goes. Okay, keep in mind, this is the point we're gonna start dropping brake fluid. So just be aware. You're gonna have one crush washer on the bolt head like we did. The other crush washer goes on the other side of this big, huge brake line bolt. And if we still have issues, we'll come back and we'll replace this brake line. It's probably well overdue. Okay, so watch your crush washer. This one's stuck here. In my experience, they usually stick to that side, so watch it. We're gonna put this in upside down to drain out in there. Take our brake line. This crush washer stuck to the banjo bolt. So we're good. So now we can take our new banjo bolt. Try not to get yourself all dirty like I am. This needs to be a very clean system. Stick our bolt through. You should be able to just line it up right here and punch it into place. Okay, so now when you crack our bleeder, and I'm just gonna let this gravity bleed itself out. I'll probably let it bleed the entire time I do the other tire, actually, because it's not gonna hurt nothing as long as you keep the reservoir full. Let me get a little wrench. Okay, so I just grabbed 10 millimeter. And it is too big. Who puts such? Oh boy. 7/16 is this one. So we want to go this way. Oh, stupid tab. Uh-oh. Now I done did it. There it goes. We're just gonna crack that open a little bit. It's gonna take a while. It's got to fill up this whole entire piston caliper system, and then it should start bleeding out here in a little bit. But it might take a good 3, 4, 5 minutes. All right, fun part, getting the spring on. I really hope you guys aren't getting bothered by the LED on my face. I'll probably take it off now that we're outside. All right, so this is where I really struggle on these things. I hate these so much. If any of you have a good system for getting these on, please let me know. Share it with the crowd, let everybody else know too. Right now, I don't have a system. I just try and figure it out, especially on some of these remans. They come coated, so it's not just a bare wire. And then this is coated, and you have a heck of a time trying to get them placed in here in the holes. The first one will be bad enough. Yeah, see what I mean? Can't even get that in there. And then to get the second one in is just absolute torture without the first one coming out. Okay, so that's more or less in there. Then I don't understand how you're supposed to do this, because it never works out for me. You get this in here first. I've had luck doing it both ways. When I say luck, I mean I've made it work. And then you twist this, or do you do that first, and then pick up on this. Which way? Either way, they lose their coatings when I'm done. And half the time they'll be sitting here touching the rotor. I don't like these so much at all. But that's in right there, so that was actually one of the easier ones I've done, coincidentally. Okay guys, that's pretty much all there is to it. So now you have your spring in place, you have your caliper in place, your bracket in place. We put these caps that don't fit in this back on. We've got our brake line on, and we are bleeding by gravity through our bleeder screw, which, as you can see, it's dripping about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that many drips per second. We may, like I said, come back and replace this line. I don't know. I think you can see it dripping. Yep. So we're gonna let this drip all the way up until I'm done with that side, and then I'll close this, let that drip for a while I work on something else somewhere else. Just keep an eye on your master cylinder. When you get back in the Jeep, This is going to be very spongy because there's no pressure built up. You're going to have to pump your brakes a little bit to gain pressure, just to fill everything up and compress it. So remember that, don't just take off. These are the rears, it's not so bad. Do it on the fronts, it is kind of bad, but that's it. I want to go ahead and do the driver's side, and I'll get back with you in a few minutes. I mean, that only took half an hour for the whole thing, so it's not bad, guys. And I was looking for tools, trying a camera, and all that, so I'll be back in a minute. All right, so we have both tires back on, torqued down. We got our bleeder valves closed. I forgot to put the cap on that one, darn it. It's sitting right there. Now, you should have been keeping an eye on this while you were bleeding, but just to make sure, just make sure that your master cylinder is at the full mark. We're gonna come back and check that in again in a few minutes here. So don't close the hood too much, because your pistons are currently completely collapsed. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and turn this on. I mean, you don't have to, you could do this with it off, I guess. Okay. And we're just gonna go down here, press the brake pedal a few times. As many times as it takes to get it solid feeling. There she goes, there's some pressure. Boom. Okay. So once you got full pressure, yeah, that feels good to me. Go ahead and turn this off. I want to check your master cylinder again. See, and she dropped a little bit, but she's still well below the min line, so I'm going to leave her right where she's at. We'll check her again after the first little road trip, but that's it. Easy peasy, not too challenging, not too exciting. We did leave the pads and rotors. I did not change them. All we did was the calipers because of the sticking one. And it just barely started sticking. The pads are still the same size for the most part, so I'm not too stressed out about it. If you guys keep up on your maintenance, you don't have to worry about damage repairs nearly as much. So remember, hit the subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, hit a comment down below, and we'll see you next time.